called off their strike, which had paralyzed the sector and brought the country to a standstill for the last 2 days. This was after 2-day tense deliberations that brought about a fragile truce, albeit temporarily. The nationwide paralysis has now been suspended for 1 week following a deal struck between the government and transport stakeholders to buy time for fresh negotiations until May 26. And in what many see as a calculated pause, the move is expected to give President William Ruto, currently away in Kazakhstan, time to personally steer the talks upon his return. But as KTN's Francis Ontomo now reports, transport players walked away yearning for far more than just promises.
From the steps of Arambe House, they emerged wearing frozen smiles. Top government officials led by Cabinet Secretaries Kipchumba Murkomen and Opiyo Wandayi had spent hours locked in talks with transport sector leaders over the 2-day paralysis that brought the country to a crawl. And while the announcement offered a glimmer of relief, it was clear the deepening standoff was far from over. Following a consultation meeting this morning, between the government and the representatives, it was agreed that that there was need for negotiations between the government and the stakeholders at a high level, and that those negotiations must be undertaken within the next 1 week. That in the interceding period between now and Tuesday, 26th May of 2026, that the strike that is ongoing is suspended. Transport sector officials did not mince their words, insisting the suspension of the strike was only temporary and heavily conditional.
Today we have just had a breakthrough, not because we are satisfied, but we want to give negotiations a chance. If this is not taken serious, within the 7 days that we have given, the strike will be back.
For the second straight day, outrage over rising fuel prices brought Nairobi and several other towns to a near standstill. Businesses across sections of the CBD remained shut, motorists stranded, and public transport operations severely disrupted. At the city's largest bus terminal, Country Bus Station, dozens of buses remained grounded as frustrated passengers waited helplessly, while police maintained a heavy presence across parts of the capital.
I must thank the public sector transport operators for their understanding and for accepting to work closely with the government during these very difficult times, and for accepting to call off the strike as we engage in further negotiations.
Government officials say at least 4 people were killed, more than 30 injured, and over 700 arrested during Monday's protests nationwide. Like many African nations, Kenya heavily relies on fuel imports from the Gulf region, supplies that have been disrupted by the ongoing Middle East conflict.
Consistently, the Kenyan government has blamed the current fuel wars on the Strait of Hormuz and also the happenings on the USA-Iran war. But with the war still raging and no clear end in sight, it still remains unclear on the exact resolutions back here at home. Francis Ontomo, KTN, Nairobi.
Now, the Monday demonstrations that erupted countrywide left 12 deaths and dozens of injuries. According to human